Right, Fernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Before we begin, a couple quick announcements. Again, if you're interested in signing up for the classes that I do offer, most frequent emails I get all the time. How do I sign up for your classes? What kind of classes do you offer? Well, if you go to the official Patreon page, Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, and join Tier 3. That will give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon. And it also gives you access to the monthly ritual we do together as a group. Again, that's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. We have a bunch of ongoing classes. I pretty much cover all aspects of the occult and the left-hand path. We have Luciferian magic and self-mastery class, ongoing. All these are ongoing series. Egyptian vampiric class, Sith classes, shadow work class, Clepothic sorcery classes, Kundalini meditation and awakening classes, esoterical occult Bible study class. These are just some of them that I'm flipping off the top of my head. And we do a monthly ritual. There's a bunch of content on there, a lot of content, as the Patreon channel's been up now for a little bit, between two and a half years or something like that. But that's the way to get in on the classes that I offer. Patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, Tier 3. The direct link to the Patreon page is in the description box of this video. Also, if you are interested in a spiritual reading or a spiritual consultation, I offer various different readings, Clepothic demonic readings, Egyptian oracle readings, Santa Muerte readings, shadow work readings, which is always a great thing to do at any point or any time. Even better thing to do when you're looking for specific guidance, or you might not be clear on what direction you should be going in or what kind of ritual work you're doing. Shadow work reading is a great place to start with a reading. Also, deity readings, which aid and assist you to see what spirits, demons, gods, and goddesses walk with you, not to worship them, but to establish a stronger relationship with those spirits and help you grow and evolve on your path of self-mastery. For a full list of readings or how to book a reading or a consultation, just shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. That email is also in the description box of the video. Also, the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference is in full effect. You can sign up and register for that now. It's a 4-day event. Begins Thursday, October 19th with a meet and greet. Flashback diner. We're going to do a little throwback fun. After the meet and greet, the next 2 days on Friday and Saturday, classes, workshops, and presentations from 9 to 4 p.m. We come back both nights on Friday and Saturday to do a group ritual, followed by a group dinner, some hanging out, eating, listening to music, socializing, having fun, and just kicking it. The event wraps up on Sunday the 22nd, and we will be doing a question and answer class from noon to 4 p.m. That wraps up the event. Hope to see some new people out there in addition to the returning people. It's a fun time. It's a great event. This will be our 6th year of doing it. You could also attend this event virtually. You can get access to all 3 days of the classes and the workshops, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Shoot me an email, again, khnum19@gmail.com, and I'll send you the information on how to sign up and register for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Also, keep in mind all this new content is uploading to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which now you can listen to all this content in audio format. If you're just hanging around, working around the house, driving, exercising, you can now listen to all this new information and classes and things of that nature on the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast is in the description box of this video. Again, along with the link to the Patreon page to sign up for classes, and also the email address to contact me on any of the aforementioned. All right. So, you see the topic, the importance of being in a sound mind, body, and spirit. Okay? sometimes not talked about, in my opinion, on this path is covering a lot of those foundational things. Being in sound mind, body, and spirit is critical being on this path. The reason for that is, well, a multitude of reasons. One, you are opening yourself up to an influx of many different types of energies, different levels of it, different frequencies of it. When you start to get familiar with the spirits, the deities, the demons, the gods, the goddesses, and just the various different titles of the aspects of the things we work with, they all carry different energies and frequencies, and they affect you in a multitude of ways. I've said many times before, in my opinion, how I work with people, if you've worked with me over the years, or you're in a mentorship program, or you've reached out to me for readings or consultations, I don't just throw somebody into some dark, deep, intense work. To me, that is doing the person more damage than it is good, right? I think an individual needs to make sure to check certain boxes before they start doing, say, telepathic work, or say necromancy, vampiric work, which these are some of the aspects of our path that might work with a little bit darker or intense energy. You could do yourself damage if you're dealing with psychological issues. And I'm not just talking about being clinically diagnosed with psychological issues. So there's two aspects of this. You might be dealing with a lot of stuff, personal things that's weighing on you heavy, that's stressing you out, creating high levels of anxiety and stress, right? And this can cause your mental not to be sound. Now, there is also, as I've said in previous videos, when you're medically or clinically diagnosed with mental issues, that's a whole nother level, right? And again, I want to make it clear, I'm not a doctor, so I can't and I won't give you medical advice, but I would always, seek medical attention where needed, okay? But when you're not in a sound mind, body, and spirit, this can affect your work. It can affect your work in a negative way. It can impact you. It can block you. It can cause you not to get the results that you're trying to obtain. You can't go into ritual work frustrated, angry, super stressed out. Now, look, I get it. Today, in today's world, okay, we're living in a world, a society, it's fast-paced, things have changed. So this overall world and life can be stressful as it is, with all that we're up against and all that we got to deal with. I get that, but join the club. Welcome to the real world, right? As I said many times before, people can find a million excuses why they can't do something like exercise, meditate, and do their ritual work, and they can't find one reason why they can. And that, to me, is unacceptable. I saw a video. It was some lady over, I think, in the UK, okay? And there's something I've talked about for years about managing your time. We all can make excuses. Shit, I can make a million excuses. I'm sure tons of people out there can find a million excuses why they can't. But I saw a video, I believe the lady was in the UK. She had like 6 children. And she came to the realization she was using her children and her busy lifestyle as an excuse not to exercise. So she came up with this methodology while she has the kids, created some free time where she had to get her regular exercise regimen in. And she realized, and this stood out to me because it's something I say all the time, she realized that it was so easy for her to find an excuse not to. She had a multitude of reasons to find, not to do it. But when she actually really looked and found out she could do it, she just focused, concentrated on it, applied herself, and did it, okay? So there's no excuse why you can't, right? There's got to be an excuse why you can, right? People could find a million excuses, right, why they can't do something. But my point being is, the importance of you being in a sound mind, sound body, and spirit is, again, as I said, you don't want to ever go into ritual work in the wrong frame of mind. Even if you're on the Patreon page, when we do the group rituals at the end of the month, what's one of the things that always comes in the preparation for the ritual message that you get the day of, right? If you've been on there with me a while, you know it's what is the first thing I say? Make sure you're in a sound mind and come in a positive frame of mind, because that energy in a group ritual can be transferred to other people in that ritual, right? And it could be damaging to the person who's in that incorrect state of emotions, because they could open themselves up to energy that they're not prepared to receive. So being in not the correct state of mind can not only create problems for the individual, could also create problems if the individual, let's say per se, is doing work with others. Right? Now, I can tell you over the years a handful of times, not a lot. I can recollect as I think back when we've done rituals together in a group, I probably have had to pull several people aside, stretched out over many years, doesn't happen a lot, where we sensed, that their energy was off. And we suggested to them, it might be better you sit this one out, right? So it's not about a wrong state of mind too, is just forcing yourself to do the work. You never want to go through ritual work just doing it to be doing it. That's just like a Christian going to church every Sunday, where half of the time they probably don't really feel like going, but they just do it to do it because it's something that's required them. You should never go on a ritual work feeling like it's a chore, or feeling like it's a burden, or feeling like it's taxing or stressful. You're wasting your time. That's not how we're supposed to do ritual work and spiritual work on this path. And this is why it's important to be in sound mind, body, and spirit. Manage your time and make sure you're setting things up the correct way. Planning and timing has a lot to do with it, okay? And I do want to get around to doing that video on the satanic ingredients to black magic, using that module from the Satanic Bible, which is a good outline. And even though the Satanic Bible, as I said, is for the most, it's outdated in many ways, but the Book of Belial is something that can be transferred today and across the board and applied to your ritual work. But I'll talk about that another time. So, how are ways you can assist yourself in being in sound mind, body, and spirit? Well, let's just keep it 100% real. Your mundane life has a large portion to do with that, right? So let's start with finances and money, okay? Now, I know some other paths, don't stress it enough. I'm not saying it's everything, but it's a lot, okay? We're not supposed to be poor, broke, and struggling on this path. And I get it, life deals certain people, certain situations. You try to find your best way to work out of them. But a good, steady income can solve a lot of life's problems. Most people don't realize when you're struggling in your mundane life, especially financially, it puts a lot of stress and weighs down on you, like where it can't in life, where it can trickle down and affect your spiritual life and your spiritual growth 100%. Okay, that is a large thing to look at. So one of the key components is establishing career goals, establishing financial goals. Where do you see yourself? What are you trying to accomplish? Because one of the number one stresses in life is people stressing over their finances, their money, lack thereof, not having enough money to pay bills, living maybe day by day, week to week, check to check, right? This pulls a lot of people's energy and focus away from their spiritual growth. And they know this. When I say they know this, the powers that be that try to control everything, economics, finances, and dictate, where you spend your money, where it goes, trying to control every facet of your life, from what you eat to how you dress. When you're in that circle of things, or that paradigm that just keeps going round and round in circles, it really distracts you from working on yourself spiritually. Then I know there's others that say, I work multiple jobs, I do multiple things, I'm doing things for multiple streams of income. Well, so am I. Join the club. Okay? And I'm not saying that with just my opinion, as if I haven't come from a background where I was going through serious struggle. I'm saying that from experience. Because I realized at one point, at the end of the day, nobody gives a fuck about you but you. So you can find all the excuses why you can't get yourself right. You can find all the reasons why you won't. But I tell you what, if you're looking for an excuse or a crutch to lean on, one of the hardest lessons you're going to learn in life is at the end of the day, the only person that really cares about you is you. Okay? And if you don't do for self, nobody's going to really do for you. I'm not talking about you might have a support system to a degree. You might have family, friends, a significant other. But still, at the end of the day, it's on you. Okay? That's the other thing people have to stop doing, is trying to find external excuses, whether that's person, places, or things, externally, why they're failing at what they're doing. Because that's not the case. Okay? So all of these things have to be looked at when we're looking at our mundane life. When I'm saying the word mundane life, I'm just talking about your everyday existence, your everyday life, your everyday reality here on this earthly realm, right? And this is why I said a path to self-mastery, right? When you're making changes and doing shadow work, spiritually it's an inward journey out. But when you start the process of real shadow work, you've got to start looking at your immediate surroundings and environment, in addition to looking at yourself from inside out spiritually. Because sometimes a lot of the reason why we're going through hardship, a lot of the reason why we might be dealing with high levels of stress and not in that sound mind or sound body or spirit, is because we have a lot of negative and toxic influences around us. We might be running in the wrong circles, associating with the wrong people. And again, as I said many times before, something that my mother told me years ago that sticks with me to this day: you are the company you keep. Always remember that. You are the company you keep. If you hang around with successful people, prosperous people, intelligent people, productive people, that shit's gonna rub off on you, okay? And you'll learn something. But it's also the flip side. You hang around derelicts, lowlives, unsuccessful people, poor people, people who are constantly bitching, moaning, and complaining, people who, are always looking for misery as their company because they're miserable. You're gonna become that. You may not initially have been that before you got involved, but you will become that. That's fact. That can't be denied. Gotta keep it 100%. That cannot be denied. So all of those things need to be looked at. And shadow work is about making those changes to get you in a sound mind, body, and spirit. Now let's talk a little bit about the body. Okay? It is important on this path that we take care of our bodies to the best of our ability. And we all, I'm sure, need areas of improvement. Our health, our diet, and our exercise, right? This is super important for us, okay? This is very important for us. Now, again, I don't get fanatical, because in certain systems of spirituality and consciousness, people get a little bit fanatical with the diet or the vegan thing. And look, your dietary choice is just that. It's a dietary choice. Is it connected to your spirituality? Yes, it can help when your diet is good, 100%. But let's not turn it, fanatically into some religion, which some people do. I just got to be honest with you. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole diet thing, because again, these are videos. These are kind of like tutorials. But I always have suggested you come up with a diet conducive to your blood type. There's not one specific diet that works for everybody. I know there's a lot of people out there, whether it's a keto diet, whether it's Dr. Sebi, and as I said, Dr. Sebi's diet was for more so people who live in a tropical environment. You have to be careful when you eliminate certain things altogether, because certain blood types, when you do the research, others need, for an example, higher levels of protein than others, such as myself, O positive blood. O blood people need higher levels of protein than, say, A or B type blood. A and B type blood tend to be more herbivorous, plant eating. type of people, where O blood people are more carnivorous, right? And when you do the research, you see that O positive blood, or O blood, is the oldest blood on the planet, which raises another question where the other blood types come from. But you get my point. I've gone over that many times before. Your blood type tells a lot about you. I've always said many times, if you take on a new extreme diet, you should go get a full print out and checkup of your blood work, see the levels of vitamins and minerals in your system before you just go into some intense new diet, because you got to make sure you know what's in the body and the changes you're making in your diet supplements, the needs that you might, be lacking. Okay? But anyway, within reason, be smart, right? Modify. When you're intaking food, like I said over the years, if you're intaking it too much of an intake of foods that are processed, foods that are high in preservatives, foods that are high in chemicals, that's going to affect your mind. It's gonna hurt your focus, your concentration. It affects the way the body feels, and it also affects the way the body thinks. So it can affect your meditation, it can affect your focus and your concentration, right? Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not trying to come at it from a fanatical perspective, because we live in a fast-paced world. Sometimes we're on the go. We take what we can get, but we do need to be conscious to a degree of what we're taking in. It doesn't mean there's certain foods that may not be the best for you, that you can't eat them. You just can't eat them all the time. I've said this before, like, I love ice cream, sweet tooth, right? I don't eat ice cream all the time, because if I ate ice cream daily, that would be a bad thing. That's going to cause problems for me, right? So I might once a month treat myself, where I can indulge, but not to the point where I'm overindulgent and it can cause problems for me. So everything in moderation, okay? Obviously, water, one of the most important things. A lot of us don't realize why we can feel out of whack sometimes. And I keep telling people, to be dehydrated, feel out of whack with a body not getting enough of fluid. Dehydration isn't always where you feel like you're going to pass out and keel over and you're so hot and weak and tired. That's not what dehydration is all the time. That's heat fatigue, and that's getting to a point where it's dangerous. You can be dehydrated, this is fact, and not really even know it. So this is why it's important just to make sure you consistently stay hydrated. So fresh water is critical and important to being in a sound mind, sound body. A diet in moderation. Know your blood type. Know what you should be taking and what you might need to lay off of, and vice versa. And again, make sure you are getting consistent exercise throughout the week. At least 3 to 4 days of 30 minutes or more, minimum. Okay? Everybody's schedule different. As I've said before, I know everybody's schedule is different. I'm not saying you need to be in the gym like some people are gym rats. They want to be in the gym an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5. I probably four days a week do about combination of both, hour to an hour and a half. Okay? As you know, I do kickboxing fitness. Today I had to change my schedule. I actually just did my weights. I'm headed to 9 rounds now. Kind of don't really do this on a Wednesday, but I'm supposed to be traveling, leaving out Friday morning. So, long story short, I had to change my schedule around. But anyway, there's ways. If you got a busy schedule, you can take a walk, right? There's no excuse why you can't take a walk around your neighborhood, or get on a treadmill, or go down to a park if you don't like the gym. But you need to get that exercise, because circulation, oxygen, breathing, all of those things affect being in a sound mind and sound body, and can affect your ritual work. It can affect your focus and your concentration and your attention span. So this is all super important to being and a sound mind and a sound body. So diet, health, and exercise, you need to look at that. Okay, remember, as I said before, I keep trying to tell people this path is work. Okay, because we cover every aspect. When we say we're really on the path of mastering ourselves, that's on all aspects, right? The 5 points of the pentagram that I create: mastering yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. Okay, that's the goal, people. That's why you're supposed to be here. That's why you're supposed to be on this path. That's the one. These should be the reasons and the goals of why you want to be on this path. Okay? It's not about superficial shit, right? And this is why I try to take and eliminate all of the spooky crap that's out there about the occult and the left-hand path, because unfortunately some people come on this path for all the wrong reasons. They've got all this bullshit in their head that they picked up from various different places and sources. Okay? They come on this path because they might want to do love spells and sex magic, and yes, that part, the sex magic and all that, that's part of it. I've addressed that, I've touched it. But if you're just coming on this path to get some pussy and do some spells, you don't need to be on this path to do that. Okay? As I said before, in my opinion, your first and foremost reason of why you want to be on this path is to master yourself. And step one of that is having knowledge of self. Understanding who and what you are. Right? Wanting to make that commitment to do shadow work, to uncover the hidden self so you can address every aspect of yourself. Right? To me, if that is your first intent, and I can tell you this, not just from myself and my own experience, but seeing this in others, I will promise you, you will reap the benefits and rewards and prosper on this path. When you put that first, because all that other shit, money, the materialistic shit, the pussy, the dick, if you're a female, that shit all comes. Well, females is a little different. They don't need to do it. I mean, females control that sex force, that sex energy, right? It's not like us as men. It's a little different, right? But that's a different story for a different time. But the whole point is, those things, which are sometimes the things people come on this path for initially, that's the wrong reason why to come on this path. If that's your first purpose, okay? I came on this path because I just was searching, and I felt like there was more. I felt like I was getting stuff, but there was still something missing. There was still something lacking. And what was really getting on my fucking nerves, as I've said many times in the past, is this servitude shit. I'm like, when do we stop serving shit? When do we stop answering to things? When do we stop being in some paradigm where we got to follow some dogma that's loaded with rules, regulations, and restrictions? I got tired of that shit. I just felt like it was never ending. Whether it was, monotheism, whether it was Ifa or Santeria, whether it was Palo, whether it was this or that. I just felt like, when does the servitude stop? Because it always seems like in those systems that the way they teach you about the deities in those systems, that you're always serving something and worshiping something. And they're very needy. They're always needing shit. And it just became very religious to me overall. And I had to say to myself, at what point does this shit stop, man? That's enough. Like, no. This shit needs to stop. Okay? So that was kind of my motivation. And I needed answers to certain questions that I have. It became about gaining that knowledge. Right? So the other thing that's important to being in sound mind, body, and spirit, what is your approach and your intent? As I've said many times before, Or is your mind in the right place? Are you focused on the right things? Because sometimes that creates huge issues and problems for certain people, because sometimes, as going back to what I said before, people are focused on wants, and they're focused on too many wants, and it outweighs the multitude of needs that they need to address. Okay? So when those things are in order, your spirit, when the mind and the body are functioning correctly, your spirit, your energy is going to be right. It's going to be centered. It's going to be focused. You're going to be locked in. And when you're feeling right, when the mind feels good and the body feels good, you feel sharper. You feel more focused on what you're doing. And you're motivated. And your creativity goes to different levels. Okay? Your creativity goes to a whole new level. That's critical. That's important, because you need your creativity, the power of your imagination, to create your ritual work. So when your thoughts are all fucked up and you're stressed the fuck out, your visualization skills are going to be shitty. Your creativity is going to be in the toilet. And it strips you of your imagination or your ability to create imagery. Okay? So the spirit part falls in alignment when the mind and the body are right. Okay? So this is what we got to get our focus on. These are the things that we need to address. These are the things we need to give attention. Because again, if you're not in sound mind, body, and spirit, it's going to be hard for you to get productive results out of your spiritual and your ritual work. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not going to be easy. These are sometimes the reasons or the explanation why people say they're struggling, or they can't put their finger on it. Just something's not right. I don't feel right. This or that. It's the reason why you're describing it like that, because it's not really one particular thing. It's a culmination of all these things that I'm talking about right now. So this is why you can't really put your finger on it and describe it by a thing or two. It's because you're dealing with a multitude of different things, right? So, again, I would ask, if you're on this path, to do that self-check. Run through those things and see where you're at in the scheme of things, because this might be a telltale reason things could be going on that you don't really have an explanation for. Okay? So this is the importance of being in a sound mind, a sound body, and a sound spirit. All right? I hope this video helped shed some intellect or light on the situation and utilize it. All right, other than that, before I go, again, if you are interested in signing up for the classes I do offer, go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. Tier 3 gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, and it gives you access to the monthly ritual we do together as a group. If you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation and you want to book one, shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com. Okay, and send me the days and times you're available, and we can book a reading or a consultation. I'll send you that info. If you like information on how to register or sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, either attending in person, which is October 19th to the 22nd, or attending it virtually, again, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Remember, all of this content and existing content is being uploaded now on the Primordial Chaos official podcast, which is located on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast is in the description box of this video, along with my contact email, along with the direct link to the Patreon page to sign up for classes, all in the description box of the video. Let me also put out there all the Patreon content for the month of September is now up. I do have it posted on all of the social media platforms. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, Primordial Chaos on Facebook, and in the community section here on YouTube. We have for this month Shadow Work Class 18. We have Clepothic Sorcery and Magic class, I believe number 5. Eastern Left Hand Path Occult class number 6. And this month's ritual at the end of September, we will be doing the ritual of the Black Mother Kali Ma, or Kali. It's going to be a really good ritual. So that's what we got going on in September. Then obviously October, the conference will be here. All right. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Frontal blessings, and we'll talk soon.